Not every enemy comes with a cold face and harsh words. Some of them know your favorite food. Some of them were there at your lowest moment. Some of them call you their person and mean it, right up until the moment it costs them something. That is the kind of betrayal that takes the longest to heal from, because you never saw it coming. You were too busy trusting. Her name was Gozi, 28 years old, a content creator and freelance graphic designer based in Lagos, working from a co-working space in Yaba 3 days a week and from her apartment the rest of the time. She had built her small business steadily over 4 years, a modest but loyal client base, a growing portfolio, and a social media presence that was beginning to attract real attention. She was not yet where she wanted to be, but she was moving, clearly and consistently, in the right direction. Her closest friend was a woman named Ifeoma. They had met during their final year at university in Enugu and had stayed close through every transition since. First jobs, difficult relationships, family stress, the particular loneliness of building something from nothing in a city that does not slow down for anyone. They spoke almost daily. They reviewed each other's work. They celebrated each other's wins with a sincerity that felt rare. Gozi trusted Ifeoma the way you trust a person when nothing has ever given you reason not to. That kind of trust is beautiful. It is also sometimes a vulnerability. The trouble began with an opportunity. A well-known creative agency in Lagos, one that both Gozi and Ifeoma admired, put out a quiet call for a freelance brand designer. It was not a public listing. It came through a connection in their industry, passed along in a WhatsApp group they both belonged to. Gozi saw it first. She was excited, genuinely excited, and called Ifeoma that same evening to talk through whether she should apply. Ifeoma encouraged her warmly. She said, "Gozi, this is exactly what you have been working toward. Send your portfolio. You are ready, ni." Gozi spent the following week preparing. She updated her portfolio, wrote a careful proposal, and shared drafts with Ifeoma, who gave feedback, suggested adjustments, and told her it looked excellent. Gozi submitted her application on a Friday afternoon and felt the particular lightness of someone who has done their best and is now waiting with open hands. 2 weeks later, she received a polite email. The position had been filled. She was disappointed, but not devastated. These things happen. What she did not know not yet was how the position had been filled. The information came from an unlikely place. A mutual acquaintance named Tund, someone both women knew from industry events, friendly but not close, mentioned something casually to Gozi at a creative meetup in Surulere. He said he had heard Ifeoma had just landed a contract with that agency. He congratulated Gozi by association, assuming she already knew. He said, "You two are always supporting each other, so I'm sure you're happy for her." Gozi smiled and said yes. But something cold and quiet settled in her chest on the bus ride home. She told herself there was an explanation. She told herself coincidences existed. She told herself she was not the kind of person who assumed the worst of people she loved. But she could not stop thinking about it. The feedback Ifeoma had given on her portfolio, the questions Ifeoma had asked about the agency, the details she had shared freely because she had never once thought to protect information from her closest friend. She did not confront Ifeoma immediately. Instead, she asked a question carefully. She mentioned, in a phone call, that she had heard the position had been filled and asked if Ifeoma knew anything about it. Ifeoma paused, then said she had heard something similar. She offered nothing more. That pause lasted only a few seconds, but Gozi heard everything inside it. She slept badly for several nights. Not because of the job, though that stung, but because of the larger thing the job had revealed. She kept returning to the same question, turning it over and over. How long? How many conversations? How much of what I shared was being quietly used? She thought about the client she had mentioned once who had later gone quiet on her had Ifeoma approached them. She thought about a collaboration that had fallen through unexpectedly, blessing an older woman in her building who had become a quiet source of perspective over the years. Noticed Gozi was not herself one evening and asked directly. Gozi told her. The older woman listened. Then she said, "What do you want to do with this? Not what should you do? Not what would I do? What do you want?" Gozi thought about it seriously. She did not want a public confrontation. She did not want to perform anger for the satisfaction of others. What she wanted was the truth, and she wanted to say it clearly once, so that she was not carrying something that did not belong to her. She called Ifioma the next morning and asked her directly, simply, without accusation in her voice, "Did you apply for the same position after helping me with my application?" The silence on the other end was long enough to be its own answer. Ifioma eventually said yes. She said she had told herself it was a different angle, a different proposal. She said she had convinced herself it was not what it was. Gozi listened to all of it. Then she said, "I appreciate you telling me the truth now, but I need some time away from this friendship," and she ended the call. She did not announce anything. She did not post about it or discuss it widely. She simply created distance, the kind that is not dramatic but is firm. She stopped sharing her work in progress. She stopped calling daily. She allowed the friendship to become something smaller, something she could hold without being hurt by it. It was not easy. There were moments of funny thing that happened. A difficult client situation when her first instinct was still to call Ifioma. Habits of closeness do not disappear cleanly. They fade slowly, and sometimes they ache. But Gozi also found something unexpected in the space she created. She began to be more deliberate about who she let in, not suspicious of everyone, but more attentive. She started noticing the friends who asked about her work without wanting a share of it, who celebrated her without calculation, who kept what she told them. She also threw herself back into her craft. She applied to 2 more opportunities over the following months, this time without sharing the details until after she had submitted. One of them came through, a smaller contract than the agency, but hers entirely, earned cleanly. The day she signed it, she sat at her desk for a long moment. She did not feel triumphant. She felt steady, and steady, she had learned, was worth more. This is a story about betrayal. But more than that, it is a story about what we carry forward from betrayal and what we choose to leave behind. Gozi could have responded with bitterness. She could have made Ifioma a villain in every conversation, could have let the wound harden into something that poisoned other friendships, other opportunities, her relationship with her own openness. She did not. She named what had happened clearly. She created a boundary with dignity, and she continued moving. Not every friendship is built on solid ground. Some people care for you genuinely, right up until something they want appears between you, and in that moment, you learn who they were when it mattered most. This is not a reason to close yourself off from people. Isolation is not the answer to betrayal. The answer is discernment. Learning to share yourself fully with people who have earned that. Learning to watch not just what people say, but what they do in the moments when caring for you costs them something. Because the truest friends are not the ones who celebrate you when it is easy. They are the ones who protect what you share with them, even when no one would know the difference. Those people exist. They are worth finding. And you will find them more easily once you stop making room for the ones who only smile to your face.